quick Devar Torah. This week, again, we have the final parshiot of the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. And one of the interesting things is we can learn a lot about leadership from these parshiot. Moshe was the leader par excellence. First of all, the importance of leadership is that you lead. You are the one out front. That you don't, that you put yourself out there. Sort of like in the Western military tradition, as now is, the officer says, "Follow me." He's leading the men. And this is true in the American as well as the American Army, the IDF, etc. The officers lead. Second thing is you inspire your followers to do better. Moshe was able to inspire ordinary people to do extraordinary things. This is part of leadership, is you inspire the people following you to really do great things. Don't be satisfied with, okay, it's okay. You will see that they will follow you. Another point of leadership is, of course, transparency. Transparency in public funds. That, as we know, there are people who are leaders, but they sort of like take from the till, or they allow corruption. As we've seen in a few cases going on here in the United States, Minnesota is a prime example that a lot of people are asking, how do these people get away with such corruption? There was a crisis in leadership as well. And a leader might say, well, I didn't know about it. Well, that's part of being a leader, is knowing about these things. Taking a stand to see that if there's corruption going on. Many years ago, right after Giuliani was elected mayor, we had as a guest one of the people who actually worked in his campaign, very high up, as a Shabbat guest at our table. So I just jokingly, right after the election, I jokingly said, okay, now comes the kickbacks. And he looked at me and he said, you don't even joke about that with Giuliani. If he finds out, you better hope the cops find out before he does. He was very strict about corruption. Corruption in leadership is, or allowing corruption around you can cause a lot of damage to society. The fourth point of leadership, of course, is that you also take responsibility for everything that goes on. Remember, with the sin of the golden calf, the Moshe, God says, I'm going to wipe these people out, start over from you. And Moshe said, no, in that case, wipe me out of your book. Moshe took the responsibility for the actions of everybody. He was the leader. So in other words, and also, by the way, that a leader doesn't look at himself as the ruler, he looks at himself as a servant, that he's a servant of the people while he's in that position. Very famous story, at the Constitutional Convention here in the United States, there was a question, what do you call a former president? What do you do with a former president? Remember, this is a brand new idea that somebody steps down from leadership and the next guy comes in. He's a former president. How do you treat him? So they're debating this back and forth and said, how can we regard this person? So Benjamin Franklin came up with a solution. He said, a leader is a servant of the people. After he leaves office, he becomes one of the people. So now he's been promoted. He's no longer a servant. He's one of the people being served, which really puts it in proper perspective. A leader leads, but he also is a servant. He is not somebody who says, just do what I say, and then ignores everything else. Something to think about. Arash Rabbanim.